Hey Deep Divers, welcome back. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. We love hearing from you. Today we are diving deep into Elon Musk. But not the Tesla, SpaceX, Mars-obsessed Musk we all know.
Right.
This time we're going way back to his early days in the U.S., and let me tell you, it's a wild ride.
It certainly is. Buckle up.
So our source material for this deep dive is a recent Washington Post article that drops some serious truth bombs. Basically, it looks like Elon Musk might have been an illegal immigrant when he started his first company. You know, the one that made him millions?
Yep. Zip2.
Exactly. And the irony here, considering his very public stance on immigration later in life, is pretty thick.
It's definitely something to think about.
Okay, so let's rewind. Musk was born in South Africa, but snagged Canadian citizenship through his mom. He bounced around a bit, studying in Canada, and then transferring to the University of Pennsylvania, which got him a student visa for the U.S. So far, so good, right?
Oh, well, that's where things get a bit messy. After graduating from UPenn, he was set to attend Stanford, but according to the Post, he never actually enrolled.
So he had the visa but skipped class. What was the plan exactly?
It seems like the plan was building his startup. Now, a student visa lets you work part-time, but ditching school to go full-time entrepreneur, that's a major violation. Immigration law doesn't mess around.
Okay, so his visa situation is shaky, to say the least. But he's got this startup Zip2 to worry about. What happens next?
Well, this is where his brother Kimbal enters the picture, and things get even more complicated.
Oh yeah, Kimbal. The one who went from tech to like sustainable farming or something? What's his role in all of this?
Well, according to Kimbal himself, he lied to border agents to get into the U.S. He had already been denied entry for working illegally, but he managed to slip back in by driving across the border with a friend and spinning a yarn about going to the David Letterman show.
Hold up, seriously. He just waltzed in?
Not exactly waltzed. An immigration lawyer interviewed by the Post called this fraud upon entry, which carries some serious consequences.
Yeah.
You could be permanently barred from the U.S. It's not like getting a parking ticket.
Okay, so both brothers are potentially in hot water with immigration, and they're trying to build this tech company. Did anyone know about this? What did they do?
It turns out their investors were pretty concerned. There's even a clause in their investment agreement that basically says, get your legal status sorted in 45 days or else.
Talk about pressure. So what did they do, lawyers, I assume?
You bet. The company's attorney advised them to scrub any American addresses from their resumes and play down their actual roles in the company, all to avoid raising any red flags.
Wow, so they were really trying to fly under the radar. And did it work?
It did. They eventually sold Zip2 to Compaq for a hefty sum, $305 million. Elon's cut. A cool $22 million. Not a bad outcome for a slightly unconventional start in the U.S., shall we say?
Right, talk about an underdog story.
Except, here's the thing.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
All this is happening while Elon is publicly becoming more and more vocal about his anti-immigration views.
Exactly. And you can't help but notice the, shall we say, disconnect between his own experience and the policies he's now supporting.
It's like he's climbed the ladder and is now trying to kick it away so no one else can follow.
That's one way to put it. It definitely raises some interesting questions.
No kidding. This is getting good.
Yeah.
What else is there? Fill me in.
Well, let's delve into those questions a bit more.
Yeah, let's unpack this. So we've got this incredibly successful entrepreneur, self-made billionaire who built his empire while potentially not exactly following the rules. Yeah. And now he's advocating for stricter immigration policies that would make it much harder for people in similar situations to even get a foot in the door.
It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, Musk has repeatedly accused Democrats of supporting open borders, which, by the way, is a gross oversimplification of their actual stance.
Right. Like no one is seriously advocating for completely open borders.
Exactly. But the point is, Musk has aligned himself with politicians who favor much stricter immigration policies, policies that ironically might have prevented someone like him from even getting started in the U.S.
It's mind-boggling. I mean, imagine if he had been forced to return to South Africa back in the 90s. Would we even have Tesla, SpaceX, or PayPal as we know them?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's impossible to know for sure, but it does make you wonder about the ripple effects of immigration on innovation and economic growth. The U.S. has a long history of attracting bright minds from all over the world, and those individuals have made incredible contributions to our society.
Absolutely. But it's also important to remember that the U.S. immigration system is well complicated, to say the least. It's not a walk in the park for entrepreneurs and skilled workers to navigate the legal requirements and obtain the necessary visas.
You're right. And that complexity can sometimes lead to situations where people even those with good intentions end up bending or breaking the
Like
rules.
Elon and Kimbal, you mean?
Potentially. Now, I'm not condoning what they did, but it's important to acknowledge the context. The U.S. immigration system is often criticized for being overly bureaucratic, slow-moving, and favoring certain types of immigrants over others.
It's true. It's a system that can be incredibly frustrating and difficult to navigate, even if you're doing everything by the book.
Exactly. And that frustration can sometimes lead people to take risks they might not otherwise consider.
Okay, but back to Elon. So he built this massive empire potentially while bending some rules along the way, and now he's advocating for policies that could prevent others from doing the same. What do you think is going on there? Is it just a classic case of, I got mine so everyone else can fend for themselves?
It's hard to say for sure, but there are a few possible explanations. Maybe he genuinely believes that stricter immigration policies are necessary for national security or economic reasons. Maybe he's been influenced by the political circles he now moves in. Or maybe, as you suggested, it's a case of someone who's achieved incredible success and no longer sees the need for a system that helped him get there.
It's a bit cynical, but it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility.
No, it's not. And it's something we need to consider when evaluating the motivations behind these policy debates.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've established that Elon's early immigration story is a bit messy, to say the least. But there's more, right? What else did the Washington Post dig up?
They did uncover one more intriguing detail. Remember how Elon became a U.S. citizen in 2002?
Yeah, after selling Zip2 and making his first millions big celebration American flag, the whole 9 yards?
Right. But here's the catch: making false statements about your past immigration status on a citizenship application is a big no-no. It's illegal and could be grounds for having your citizenship revoked.
Wait, are you suggesting that Elon might have lied on his application?
I'm not saying that definitively the Washington Post article didn't present any concrete evidence, but they did raise the question, and it's something that investigators might want to look into further.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Uh,
The story has all the ingredients of a major scandal waiting to happen.
It does. And regardless of the legal ramifications, I think this whole situation raises some bigger questions about honesty, transparency, and accountability, especially for someone as high profile and influential as Elon Musk.
You're right. It makes you think, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and it reminds us that even the most successful people are not above the law or ethical scrutiny.
That's a good point.
Right.
So what do you think this means for Elon? Is he going to face any consequences?
It's hard to predict. It really depends on what, if any, evidence emerges to support these allegations.
Right, and how the authorities choose to handle the situation.
Exactly. It's a complex issue with a lot of moving parts.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've got Elon's early immigration adventures, his evolving stance on immigration policy, and now this potential issue with his citizenship application. It's a lot to digest.
It is, and it's a story that raises some really important questions about success on the American dream and the role of immigration in shaping our society.
It's also a reminder that even the most celebrated figures have their own complicated histories and hidden chapters.
Absolutely, and I think that's what makes this story so fascinating. It peels back the layers of a very public persona and reveals a much more nuanced and frankly human story underneath.
Well said. So, deep divers, we've unpacked this tangled web as best we can. Now, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Elon Musk's early immigration journey? Does it change your perception of him? Hit us up in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the stories that matter. We'll get you in part 3. All right, deep divers, welcome back to part 3 of our deep dive. Last time we left off with a pretty big cliffhanger.
We did. The possibility that Elon Musk may have fudged some details on his citizenship application.
Yeah, exactly. Could he actually lose his citizenship over this?
It's not impossible. The consequences for providing false information on immigration documents are pretty serious.
Wow, so this could actually have some real-world implications for Elon.
It could. But I think it's important to remember that at this point, it's all just speculation. The Washington Post article didn't present any concrete evidence that Elon lied on his application.
Right. It's more like they're raising red flags and suggesting further investigation.
Exactly. They're connecting the dots and saying, hey, this looks a little fishy.
Yeah, I get it. So basically, we're all just waiting to see if this blows up into a full-blown scandal.
Pretty much. But regardless of whether or not it leads to legal action, I think this whole situation raises some important questions about Elon Musk and the image he's cultivated over the years.
Yeah, like the whole Elon Musk genius billionaire truth teller thing.
Exactly. Does this new information tarnish that image? Or does it just add another layer of complexity to an already fascinating figure?
It's a tough one. I mean, on the one hand, he's achieved incredible things and seems to genuinely want to make the world a better place. But on the other hand, he's also shown a willingness to bend or break the rules when it suits him.
And to be fair, a lot of successful people have that same drive and ambition. It's just that most of them aren't under the same level of public scrutiny as Elon Musk.
That's true. And maybe that's part of the problem. The more successful and famous you become, the more pressure there is to maintain a certain image. And that pressure can lead people to make decisions they wouldn't otherwise make.
It's a classic tale of power and temptation.
Right. And in Elon's case, it seems like that temptation might have led him down a path that could come back to haunt him.
We'll just have to wait and see how this all plays out, but I think it's safe to say that this story is far from over.
Okay, so deep divers, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've explored the twists and turns of Elon Musk's early days in the U.S. We've talked about his evolving stance on immigration and the potential legal and ethical questions surrounding his citizenship. But ultimately, it's up to you to decide what to make of all this.
Exactly. Do you think Elon's actions were justified, or do you think he crossed a line? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
And of course, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this deep dive with your friends. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a topic that matters.